Hello, Mom. Hi. Welcome back to our podcast that we do together.
Thank you for the lovely introduction.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So, the last episode, we kind of tackled it together.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of piggybacked that one. This week, you are going to take the reins and talk about your subject because I was in North Carolina, so I didn't have time to research mine. And you have the floor.
Cool. Well, thank you. But really quick, I just want to ask you, because I know that the past trips that you've gone to North Carolina or even like Africa, you've had a little bit of anxiety because stuff usually seems to happen while you're gone.
Yeah.
Did that seem to alleviate it
No.
this time? Oh, okay.
No, I mean, with Libs, it was always, because she was an older dog, right?
Yeah.
So every time I would leave, it was always like, will this be the last time that I see my dog? And the last time I was in North Carolina, that is what happened, right? We lost her as I was the day of the wedding, the night of the wedding. As the wedding is partaking, I'm having a great time, but you and Brandon over here having to deal with, an unfortunate situation that we all knew was coming. But I always thought I would be there to kind of shoulder a lot of the burden as well. So my portion of the pie got distributed back to you and Brandon. So I wasn't able to help with Libs's transition. So that, ultimately ended up happening, and it was the worst case scenario, I guess would be the best way. But no, it's the same kind of thing, but just different.
Same kind of anxiety.
It's the same. It's the same kind of anxiety, but just instead of Libs, now it's one of you other people. So.
Oh, I'm sorry, Robert.
That's okay. I mean, it is what it is. It's no big deal. You know? I just can't. You guys are like a very fragile house plant. I can't leave alone for very long, or else, if I leave too long, something bad happens.
Well, we were just fine. We did good last weekend.
Yes, you guys survived 4 days without me.
Yeah, boy, it was a tough one too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so kind of leading in a little story of how I came in with this subject.
Okay.
Do
you want to talk about what the subject is, or
nothing?
Oh,
continue. Okay, yeah.
I just because if you did the backstory, I would have no idea what the subject is.
Okay.
So there's no connecting to the backstory.
Perfect.
You see what I mean?
Yes.
Okay.
So the title of this subject is How to Stop from Stopping Ourselves.
Okay. I like that.
Okay. And the reason that I thought about this one is that starting on Monday, I'm going to be doing a live stream on YouTube, also live streaming on TikTok, my own little morning show.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about it. It's something that I have all of this passion and energy going into.
Yeah.
So I decided, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, wow, you know what would be really cool is if I recorded a short or a TikTok or a reel and talked about, hey, this is what I talked about on today's Gray Hair
Recap.
Like a recap. Be sure to head over to YouTube and, here's the subjects I covered.
Yeah.
Like a daily promo for all that hard work.
Yeah.
And instantly, as soon as I thought about it, I started telling me I thought about it, and deep down inside, I knew I wasn't going to do it.
Really?
I knew I was going to stop myself from doing that.
Interesting.
Because instantly, once I started thinking about it and all the benefits that would happen from it, I almost got a sense of dread.
Sure.
Okay.
Makes sense.
And so that really, I'm like, why am I stopping myself? And that's how I came up with the subject of how to stop ourselves from stopping ourselves.
Okay. You might hear a sneeze, but it's me.
Okay. Bless you. Red.
No, continue.
You mean, I was going to say me staring at you didn't help your sneeze.
As much as you would think it would.
Okay. So I did a little research, and what I want to start off with is...
Well, can we backtrack to the promo thing?
Yeah.
Are you going to follow through with it?
Yes.
Okay.
And part of the reasons that I am going to follow through with it is because of the information I found.
Sure.
So not only did I find information of why we do what we do, but some steps on how to stop yourself from stopping yourself.
So I love this idea, and I like that. I really do enjoy this topic.
Yes.
As you talk about these steps and things, are we going to dissect your what's the word? Your hesitation to do this promo thing?
Yeah.
So we'll use your promo thing as more of an example or a rubric, and maybe the listeners can apply that to maybe their life.
Exactly.
Okay.
And also too, I know in the past, like when I have my little presentation, I've been like, we'll save your questions to the end. On this particular one, you don't need to do that.
Okay.
Like if something comes up or if you have a question or a comment or something like that, by all means, just be like, ask it then.
Sure.
Okay, so one of the things is, why do I avoid doing things I want to do?
Sure.
That's a question. Mm-hmm. And it says, many of the reasons for putting things off have a common thread. They are tied to negative emotions.
Okay.
Psych Today said that it is a core procrastination is an emotionally focused coping strategy. We're facing a task that for whatever reason makes us feel awful. So I never really associated procrastination or like the simple fact that I knew deep down inside I probably wasn't going to do it as part of a coping mechanism.
Okay.
And a lot of it leads back to, childhood trauma and the way that you're raised. And I'm like, and then
now is it like your fear of the unknown? Or
well, because it's not so much the fear of the unknown. And truthfully, this is like a brand new, it's kind of like taking a lid off of a can of soup and you don't know what kind of soup is in there.
Okay, you and I eat soup completely differently.
But I've just, part of me is the more I research into this is the more questions, truthfully, I have to why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah. Because I can remember like at work, when I was working in a corporate office, I knew I was supposed to do something. And for some reason, I almost physically couldn't do it. And there's things that are stopping me that there's roadblocks in my psyche that I don't even see the roadblocks.
Okay, this is very interesting. It's a very cool topic.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. So I never associated procrastination with an emotional response. Okay. I always thought it was just something like a quirk like in my mind.
Or you're like, oh, that's just me. That's just who I am.
Yeah. Okay. Kind of like that. Okay. Another statement is avoidance a trauma response? Mm-hmm. And it says emotional avoidance is a common reaction to trauma. In fact, emotional avoidance is a part of a avoidance cluster.
Okay.
All right. And it says this is part of a post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms, serving as a way for people with PTSD to escape painful or difficult emotions.
Okay.
So going super, super deep into my psyche, somewhere along either my childhood, my early adulthood, somewhere around there, I am associating these tasks with an emotionally negative response.
Sure.
All right. So again, these are hidden obstacles that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, like you say, it's hard to pinpoint the cause of it, but it does make sense. And is it like, you had mentioned the work task and you had mentioned this social media task. Do you think there's like a correlation? Because
truthfully, and this thought just came to me. I think it really goes back to like a childhood thing where, you did something and you thought you were going to get praise and you didn't get praise. You didn't
receive that.
Yeah. Okay. And so that turned into a negative feeling of disappointment.
Sure.
And so it's almost like tasks that could lead to good things, I'm scared to do because I'm afraid
of not receiving that like you say, that praise. That's very interesting because both examples that you've illustrated, you could be in that position, right? Where the social media post, people are like, oh, that's a really good idea. That's a really good job. You're afraid of not getting that. And then that workplace example, hey, you did a really good job, closing this escrow. You did a really good job balancing this report, good job there. And you were worried about receiving that too.
Right. But I think it is like so subconscious that I'm not even
aware.
I'm not even aware of these triggers.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So it says here, avoidance is a form of depression? And it says often avoidance is one of the key components of depression, which it's like this cycle. It's like you want to do it, you don't do it, you start having negative thoughts about yourself, and then it just repeats
and
like
you definitely
this.
Can't do it. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. So,
so then let me ask you this. Back to the social media post, how far have you gotten to it?
Oh, I haven't done any of it yet, but I am today after the podcast, I am going live to talk about me doing my daily streams.
Sure.
So I am going to do that. And I mean, it's so simple to pick up the phone and record it. I mean, I do it on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But part of me is like, okay, Lonnie, so what happens if you do this TikTok and only 4 people see it or, 5 people see it? And to me, it's like, I have to tell myself, so if it reaches 5 people, it's 5 people that didn't know about it before.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, it's so ingrained in my subconscious that this is really truthfully a whole new thinking process for me.
That's fair. If we're talking about that kind of stuff, I would say I'm in a similar mindset because like this morning, my past 3 TikToks, they've been doing, they've gotten, 3,000-4,000 views each, but they're not like, it's not viral or it's not this and not that. And like the people who comment are like, this is awesome. This is great. But I'm like, not that many people commented. So is it that awesome? Is it that great?
Right.
So I think it's very, just kind of, thinking about your topic and then applying it to my life. It's very interesting.
Thank you.
About how you still receive that praise, but it's not the praise you were looking for. And then you're almost disappointed that you didn't get that specific kind of validation.
Well, and we are going to talk about it a little bit more, but the research that I saw, it truthfully, it doesn't matter how much praise you receive, it's never going to be enough.
Sure. Okay.
Until you can stop that form of thinking and basically address it.
Okay.
You're always, that finish line's always going to be pushing farther and farther out.
Okay. Now then, do you think, just like, I don't know, just being like a devil's advocate, do you think social media perpetuates that kind of critical thinking?
No, actually, in one of the articles I read, it can actually help.
Really?
It can actually help you be accountable.
Okay.
So,
are you going to reference that? Okay, cool. Then I won't press too much.
No. And I love the questions. Yeah. I mean, please don't.
No. I'm saying like we don't need to dive into it until we get to that part.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I read this statement and this one really sunk home for me.
Okay.
And the statement is, the problem isn't so much that you are okay, wait a minute. The problem isn't so much that you are currently doing things that you don't want to do, but that you are doing things that you want to do. So it's not, the problem isn't so much that you are currently doing things you didn't want to do, but that you are doing things you most want to do.
Okay.
So the fear, stopping yourself, you're not stopping yourself because you're afraid to do it.
Yeah.
You're stopping yourself because you want to do it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I want to succeed. I want my morning show to be a hit. And that is what's stopping me.
Sure.
It's the fear of wanting, and you know what? And truthfully, I just thought about this. It's the fear of wanting something. And I'm so scared that it's not going to happen that I don't start.
Okay. That's fair.
Now,
is it also like this thing where you don't think you deserve it? Or is this the thing that like you're afraid of reaching and then falling?
Deep down inside, I think I always have, I always battle a negative self-talk.
Sure.
I no longer say the mean things that I used to say to myself when I was drinking.
Okay.
But I'm also too not the most confident person. Now, I think I have put in enough hard work into my social media platform that the successes that I do get, I feel like I have. They're earned.
Sure.
It's not like I just showed up and everybody handed me accolades or followers or subscriptions.
Okay.
So I don't really battle that. It's more of like, gosh, Robert, it's more of like hope is an evil thing sometimes. Sometimes, when I was younger, I used to hope things were better, and they never were. Yeah. And I think I associate hoping for good things as almost like a bad emotion.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's hard as a child to understand that, you can hope that, things will get better. And when it doesn't, you're like, just stop hoping. Yeah. Hope is going to hurt.
Yeah. Well, you can't be hurt if you don't expect anything. Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah. And I think that leads into why we are stopping, why we stop ourselves from starting is because we just don't want to, I don't want to associate that feeling again with the feeling I had as a child.
Especially with something that you that is you've surrounded as your life, like your identity. Your identity is a social media influencer and the social media presence. And if you try and fail, then you're like, oh, well, what am I then? Or like things like that. And I can see it's almost like you're protecting yourself and you're protecting like your what you find valuable or your values in life.
Yeah, because I mean, truthfully, I still wake up in the morning sometimes being like, what are you doing?
Oh, I think that's a daily battle. For sure.
Yeah, it's like, why do you think you're special? Yeah. And I have to physically be like, you know what, evil Lonnie, you need to stop that. You're no longer welcome into this party. Yeah. So you need to just mosey on down the street.
Totally.
Yeah. So, I am going to reference an article I found here really quick that will dive into a little bit deeper on the questions that you had.
Okay.
So this is called, it's an article from, it's called Stop Stopping Yourself. 5 Reasons You Are Your Dream's Biggest Obstacle.
Okay.
All right. It says, let's see here. 5 reasons you are your dream's biggest obstacles. And it says, okay, so I already said the problem isn't so much that you are currently doing things you don't want to do, but you're doing things that you most want to do.
Sure.
Which is so true. So number one thing that why we stop ourselves is fear.
Yeah.
All right. It says the first and biggest obstacle any and every one of us faces is pursuing our dreams is fear. And it says fear's primary aim is to stop us before we even start. Yeah. And it says fear's greatest strength is in perception. It says we need to bring ourselves to make that distinction between the perception of our fears and the reality of our fears. Okay. So there's a big difference. I mean, there's a song from, I think it's Sister Hazel. It's where danger, oh, gosh darn it. Danger is real. Fear is not.
Sure.
So you can be scared. I mean, it's like if you walk in, you can have fear of a tiger, but it's, unless you're like sitting right in front of one, that fear, you can't let that fear stop you.
Yeah.
Now, if you walk into a tiger cage, that's dangerous.
Sure.
So fear is different than danger. So that's.
Plus tigers are nocturnal.
Yeah. Well, I use tigers because they're cute and they're stripes.
Yeah, they're big.
Yeah,
really
I know. Big. And it says, yes, we've heard the face your fear proverb before, but there's a difference between knowledge and application. Sure. There's a huge difference between knowing you should face your fear and actually facing your fear. Then it says, defining your fear removes its power. Okay. So basically, you know what? I have to sit here and I have to ask myself, what am I scared of? And you know what? And in this conversation, I've already addressed the simple fact that, I'm scared to get hurt.
Sure.
I'm scared to uproot those emotions again. Because really, truthfully, me doing a TikTok every single day, telling the world about my lives, there's nothing dangerous about it. There's nothing scary about it.
Now, okay. So do you think it's, the first one's always the scariest, 100%. Do you think when you do this like a week or 2 weeks or a month down the line, do you think you'll still have this kind of anticipation of fear?
Where my biggest obstacle is going to be is if I don't have instant gratification.
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to be completely honest about that. Okay. You know what? It's like, oh, well, I did this for a week.
Yeah.
And it's the number 2 is zero accountability. I have no accountability for anybody but to myself.
Yeah.
You know what? If I sit there for a week and I'm like, this isn't working, I can justify it in my mind that it's not working, so I no longer need to do it. And truthfully, I'm letting the fear win.
Totally. Especially if you know it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, so if you could reference like Rocky, right? Rocky, the guy went to like 9 different production studios and they all turned him down. And then finally on the very last one, somebody was like, okay, yeah, this is a great idea. And then it skyrockets. It basically made him Sylvester Stallone who it is today. So there's a difference between you knowing it's the right choice and then like not listening to the people's opinions around you and like just kind of like staying on the right path.
Right. Because I mean, all day long you can be like, Mom, that's a great idea. And in my mind, if I let the fear win, there's a bazillion different reasons why I could justify quitting.
Sure.
They would all be wrong.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, I could put my head on my pillow going, yeah, that's right.
Totally. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's why I have to address the fear. And I think by me again, and I said it before, but by me knowing what I'm scared of, it's so much easier for me to not let it win because I know what I'm fighting.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the ways I got sober is because I gave my addiction a physical form.
Okay.
Because it's so much easier to fight something you can see than to fight something you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't fight air.
Yeah.
But you can fight, you know, if you can see what you are facing, to me, it's easier.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, like, just to like touch back on what you mentioned earlier about the flight and things like that. Like, there's always like that level of anticipation, like not anxiety, but it's always like that kind of nervousness. And I always, no matter where I'm in life, I always heard something way back when it says, if you can't beat fear, do it scared.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times where like, I'm scared to do stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it scared.
Now,
you know?
have you ever asked yourself what it is that you're scared of?
I would say it's interesting because I'm not afraid of the unknown, but I'm afraid of possibilities that I did not anticipate.
Okay.
Which I guess is the fear of the unknown, but very rarely. I think it's something, things that I can't control, I think is what I'm most afraid of.
Yeah.
You know, things that I wasn't expecting. I'm not too sure. I can't remember the last time I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. But there's always like little levels of anxiety.
Yeah.
You know?
See, because I see fear as kind of like a mist, kind of like a fog. And it just kind of creeps in, and before you know it, you're in a smoky room.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes I think it obscures our vision of what it is that we need to do because it's sucking our energy out of us.
Yeah, it's understandable. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So number 2 is zero accountability. Okay. And it says being accountability to yourself is good, but most of the time it is not enough.
Okay.
All right. So it says to be accountable to a leader or a mentor. So it's basically being, you need to be held accountable.
Sure.
So in taking this into my situation that I'm facing now, I am going to announce that, yes, I am going to do this 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And it's, as I'm saying it, I have a huge pit in my stomach.
Really?
Because I'm forcing myself to do something that I'm scared to do.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that it's not physically going to hurt me, but it is something that is outside of my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I consider myself a smaller content creator.
Sure.
I mean, there's people out there a gazillion times more successful than I am.
Yeah.
And I think it's this fear that is keeping me from being more successful.
Okay.
All right. There's things that I can do. There's content that I can create. There's avenues that I can pursue. And it's not doing more, but it's what I do can be more precise.
Sure.
You know, instead of being like, hey, here's my shoes today, I could be like, hey, watch my YouTube. It was a great morning show.
Yeah.
You know, it's that. So I don't want to set myself up for failure.
Okay.
I want to do it in a smart way.
Okay.
All right. So it says, be accountable to your peers. So, you know, Robert, I'm telling you right now, I'm doing it. I'm not going to, and I don't want it to be where I'm like, every day I do my TikTok, I go running in and I'll be like, Robert, I did it.
Sure.
But, you know, I think at the end of the day, if I don't do it, I need to tell you I didn't do it.
No, I would, to be honest with you, I wouldn't do it like that. I would think of it more of like, what would Robert think if I didn't do it? You know, you don't really need, I don't need to be your I don't want to say your guardian or your parent. I don't need to be like, well, have you brushed your teeth today? Because you're in a position where you are the captain, the first mate, you're the one man band.
Right.
I think I think you should.
You see, because it's a slippery slope, because I mean, sometimes I feel like that's all I talk about with you is my social media.
Yes.
And sometimes
that's all that's relevant.
Yeah. And sometimes you feel inundated with my social media.
Yes.
So I'm trying to do this in a manner that, maybe every Sunday you can be like, how many TikToks did you do, or something like that. Or I'll just be like, because it's a really weird complex, or it's a really weird situation we're in because we need to make sure that our conversations are healthy.
Sure.
But maybe I need to pick another person
it's
to
not
be
so much
accountable
that.
to.
You don't. There's a difference between being accountable and then being your like direct supervisor. Like I would hope that you would be in a position where I wouldn't need to. What are you doing?
My foot fell asleep and I almost fell.
Okay. I was going to say, I would hope that you'd be in a position where you wouldn't need somebody looking over your shoulder, making sure you've done the things that you should already be doing.
No. And I don't want that because that takes my power away from me. And what I need to do is take my power back.
Yeah.
But maybe what I'll do is like, if I don't do it, I'll put $5 in the jar.
You know what you should do is, I think we got rid of it, but you should like literally have maybe like a calendar or like a little checklist. Have I done this today? Check. Have I done that today? Check. Have I done that today? Check. And then if you check it all down, then you'll know what you have left. And then put it someplace where I can see. And if I'm in the position, I'm like, Ma, you haven't checked this thing yet. What's up with it? That would be a lot more better because that's a neutral area.
Okay.
And I don't have you, I don't want to say bugging me, but I don't have you encroaching in my space that I so highly covet.
Yeah. So I do have a daily calendar, and what I'll do is I'll just open it up and I'll either put it on the desk that I'm going to be using, or I can put it over here on the printer.
Yeah.
And then and I'll have like, because right now, really what I want to be accountable for is doing my live and then doing the promo reel for my live.
Okay.
So it's just those two things. And so what I'll do is each time that I do both of those, I will put it on the daily calendar.
Well, I tell you what, we got that thing in storage that we put. It's that little, that little thing you got me?
That little push.
The little push pin thing where you can like spell words. Why don't you spell out promo reel or whatever you need to, and then we'll have an X and an O. And then when you do it, just change the things.
Okay.
Or leave it and just put only X's. And when you do it, put an X, and we'll put it somewhere around here. Okay. So when I come in, I'm like, Mom, there's no X next to promo. What's going on? Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, because it's going to be from 9 to 10. So it's just like on one of your trips to the coffee maker, you can just be like, yo,
what's going on?
What's going on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or like we can have like a framed photo of me, like right above your little wall, like Kim Jong-un. And I'll be the supreme ruler. And if you do it, like if you don't do it, I'll just banish you.
Right.
Yeah.
Make me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll
but I understand.
Like, no food for you.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about in terms of like accountability or having a peer and things like that. But like you say, it's we're in a weird dynamic where you are the parent and I'm the son, but I am also the person who has a lot of the answers. So the power dynamic is it's very fragile when it comes to this household, and especially when it comes to you and I, because I rely on you on things, you rely on I on things, and so there's a really weird power balance. Yeah. And so I want to make sure that you get the accountability that was going to make you succeed, while I also have my
your
boundaries that make me feel that I'm not like, it's not one more task or one more chore I have to almost slug through to do to make sure everyone's happy.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to be very conscientious of that, is because in the past, like you said, I had zero boundaries. Yes. And I was making you responsible for way more than you were responsible for. So I am trying to be very cognitive of that to where you can stay in your comfort zone and I don't become intrusive. Yes. So, because look how far we've come. Okay, so it does say here a couple examples of like having the accountability. Okay. It's like healthy peer pressure, share your ideas and actions with some of your closest friends that are going to give you positive reinforcement.
Especially because if you say it out loud, you're more accountable to doing it.
Right. Yes. It says put some money on it. It's like if you don't do it, like I said, if I don't do it, I'll put like $5 in the jar.
When's the last time you held paper money?
You know what? I'll have to go to the bank. I mean, the thing is like if it's an easy task that, for me, it's like I'll just take it back out and get Starbucks.
No, I think instead of that, we'll make you do the Stairmaster. So every time you don't do it, we'll add 10 minutes. Yeah. And then at the end of the week, we'll put you on the Stairmaster for however long. So if you miss 6 days, you'll have to be on the Stairmaster for 60 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to do it. And then it also says social pressure. And this goes back to social media. It says social media can be a great source of public accountability.
Yeah.
Making an announcement to do something in front of an audience of hundreds or maybe thousands of people activates one of the strongest desires to be approved of and respected by our peers.
Yes.
We set social expectations for ourselves, which are very powerful. So that's why I announced it on here.
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, there is a difference, though, I think, in regards to that accountability versus my reference to like that need for praise.
Oh, you know what? I think that's apples and oranges.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, I'll talk to you about it later.
Oh,
but that's what I'm saying is that desire for praise is completely different than that accountability from your followers.
Well, I think that desire for praise is when you see these people on TikToks just doing like cringy stuff just to get views.
Yes, that's what that's what I referenced.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
I apologize.
It's all right.
So thank you. Okay. Number 3 is 0 deadlines. It says a goal is a dream with a deadline.
Okay.
All right. You can do a month's worth of work in a month, or you can do a month's worth of work in a year.
Okay.
So it says
that would apply more to like your scheduling, I think, than your deadline.
Yeah. It says deadlines should feel like they're a little too short for you to finish.
Yeah, I feel that.
So giving yourself, and like deadlines and stuff like that. So I'm going to do it to where I have to have my promo reels out by noon.
Yeah. Well, you've already kind of put yourself in that position because your morning show is going to be from 9 to 10. Yeah. And so after your morning show, you do a promo because it's so relevant on the backside of your mind. You already knew what you're talking about. Hey guys, I talked about this.
Yeah.
So just boom. So your deadline's already set. So by 10:30, no later than 10:30, you should already have your promo filled.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to be my first post of the morning instead of my outfit.
Yeah.
I'll record my
I would do it after.
What do you mean?
No. Yeah. Cause
see, because I want to do my morning live, and then right after my morning live, I just want to be like, hey, this is what I just talked about.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
And then I'm going to, after like my afternoon post, I'll do my outfit of the day.
Yes.
Something
but you said before, but like it wouldn't make any sense.
No, I was going to record it before, but I won't post it until after because,
why won't you just record it and post it after?
Because it takes, for me to get my post out to all social media platforms is a good 45 minutes.
Okay.
So, but I like the lighting in the morning. Okay. So I just as soon record it and save it. And then that way I already have it recorded and then I have my afternoon post.
But like, what if like, let's say like during the morning show, you think of something, you go on a really good tangent and like a really good talking point, but you didn't like anticipate.
No. You have it backwards. Okay. I'm going to do my outfit of the day in the morning.
Okay.
And then that's going to... Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm going to record and post my promo right after my morning show while it's fresh in my mind. And then that will be my first one. Okay. It says, some people spend their entire life getting to step 1. Some people spend 1 year, others spend 1 day. And then some people just always just get to step 1. Yeah. And that goes back to number 1 of letting your fear stop you. Number 4 is distractions. Yeah. It says looking at art is not the same as making art. So talking about making art is not the same as making. There are obvious distractions like social media, keeping yourself busy, the responsibility of life. And then there are distractions that are much more sneaky.
Like?
Feeling like you're productive without actually being productive. That is a big one. It's like, and that's why sometimes if I come up with an idea of like, hey, you know what? On my YouTube, I'm going to do this and, change some thumbnails or change my titles. Do you think that that's a productive way for me to spend my time?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you'll be like, no, I don't think that's good. Or because I really want to make sure I don't fall into that trap of like, wow, I just put in 3 hours of work.
Well, there's a difference between being productive and being busy.
Yeah. And that's basically, that's a very sneaky, that's one of the very sneaky ones.
Absolutely.
It says action fuels productivity. There are 2 ways to motivate change. Change your standard or wait till life forces you to change. It says productivity means you produce. It says when you are productive, it says you are productive when what you do is fruitful. Basically, you get something out of it.
Yes.
Constructive, profitable, effective, worthwhile, and helpful. Yep. So basically, anytime that I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do this task, I have to make sure it's one of those.
Yeah. I knew a hypnotist one time, he said change happens for two reasons. It either comes from inspiration or desperation. And, you just have to find which one it is and then work on it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, your morning show came from inspiration.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Thank you. And it says, make a regular practice of asking yourself, will this make me stronger? And then number 5 is comparison. And it says that you can stop yourself from starting because it is so easy to be intimidated and overwhelmed by all the other great work out there.
Yeah.
Which is super true. I mean, it's like,
really?
Oh yeah. It's like, sometimes it's like, just looking at other content creators being like, wow, they already have like 100,000 views in the first week. And
interesting.
And I'm sneaking by with 100.
Yeah.
And it's never really stopped me, but sometimes it makes my tasks harder.
Sure.
I feel like I'm doing the same task, but with weights on my ankles.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it says, I cannot, and then he just goes on to say, I cannot count the amount of times that I've gone online seeking to gather inspiration for a project or idea I want to make, only to be completely blown away by the complexity, scale, and skill of all the beautiful projects out there. I hear my own voice in my head saying, there is no way I can make something as good as this. Or thinking, I am in way over my head. I might as well not even try.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
And it's really, and I was saying not too long ago that you can't judge your journey by other people's successes.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what they've been through. I mean, they could have been, doing these YouTubes for 10 years where I'm just going on a couple of years. And,
Yeah.
So and that's a really, sometimes, and I don't know if you remember me saying this or not, but I was just like, I would say out loud, I don't think I can ever make a video as good as this person,
Well, I think, and just to touch on that topic and to touch on your example, I think it was because we were comparing them to that. You were comparing where you were in life to that person where they were in life.
Oh yeah.
And also too, when it comes to it also comes down to passion, right? How passionate were you, with that kind of topic. And it all comes down to this morning show, this is something that you've kind of always alluded to. But it wasn't until recently where you kind of oh, this is it, right? Because I know Drew Barrymore and her morning show is a big inspiration for you. And I think you're going to find a lot of success in this style of content creation because it's something that you're passionate about, and it's something too that you excel at.
Yeah. Yeah. What's really weird is because I have done my YouTubes now are where I go out and I'm in a store and I'm talking to my camera in a store, which doesn't bother me at all. Yeah. And I'm very natural and fluid about that. And then yesterday I did a video that I'm posting later today where I showed
yesterday.
Yeah.
Today's Sunday. We're posting this on Monday.
Yes. So I'm posting the video on Sunday, but I did a video where I was showing everybody, I tried on what I bought at a thrift store, and it was so hard to get going. Yeah. Because it's not in my natural wheelhouse. Yeah. Whereas my lives, I can just, it's just I radiate just energy and positivity because I really like what I'm delivering. Yeah. And so it's going to be, to me, it's going to be, I'm going to be really proud of myself for starting this.
Yeah, I think you're going to do really, really well.
Well, thank you.
Now, let me, are you done with the article?
I'm just going to say that again, he says, we get intimidated when we only look at the end product and not the process that it took to get there. So again,
which is something that I think you do a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
You look at the end product and don't see all the steps it took to get there. Yeah.
And then it just says, trust the process. Let your process be your process. Be through that process. Work to become aware of your inner obstacles and let them get worked out and pursue your passion. So that is, and it says the outcome isn't the goal. The process is the goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me, and this could be a stretch. Let me, and if it's not the case, please let me know. But we have been working on this game show, or the game show. We've been working on the morning show thing. The idea came around, I think Thursday. I'd say Wednesday or Thursday.
When I went to pick you up.
Oh yeah. No, but the idea to make the little area over there, your little studio.
Yeah. That was Wednesday.
And that was Wednesday. So we've been sitting on this idea for about 5 days now. And I was like, oh, I've got a really busy couple of days ahead of me. We'll most likely be able to do this like Sunday. And you were like, this is great. And then yesterday you had mentioned that like, oh, well, is this too much for you? Do you not want to do this? We can return this stuff. Was that you trying to cancel it before it started out of fear? Or was this you trying to help me trying to like ease the burden? Did you feel like you were a burden, or did you feel like it was like, well, if I can get out at this stage, I'll be safe?
It was because I knew that you, you had a really busy day yesterday.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you seemed really stretched thin. Mm-hmm. And then I totally forgot about your friend doing the 24-hour stream.
Mm-hmm. And the tournament.
And for some reason, I just know your time is really precious. Mm-hmm. And that was just me trying to be like, hey, if you've taken on more than you really want to do, mm-hmm. I can make it work with my laptop. Yeah. And it was just me trying to be cognitive of me being so thankful for your time mm-hmm. that I didn't want you to have any like more pressures on yourself to do something that you just didn't have time to do.
Okay.
Because
mm-hmm.
I know that it's really easy for me to come to you and be like, hey, do this, or can you do that? Or, mm-hmm. Can you do this? And I know that you volunteered to do it.
Yeah.
But, going on a walk and being like, hey, we're going to do it, might turn into a 2-3 hour project.
Yeah.
Which
it'll be like 2-3 hours.
Yeah. Which I didn't want to. I was just trying to be nice.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it was just me thinking of you.
Sure.
Because in my mind, I'm like, if he can't do it, or I would rather have you be like, yeah, no, I changed my mind. I don't want to put the time in. And then I would have been like, okay, well, I'm going to start on my laptop mm-hmm. and it will progress into this. Okay. It wasn't going to stop me. It just was, again, me just trying to be aware of your time and your space.
Okay. See, I took it differently, but I understand where your intentions were coming from.
How did you take it?
Well, because I've always really valued when I've heavily value when people stay true to their word. And mm-hmm. so I've always tried my very best that if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I told you we were going to do it. I went out, we bought you a bunch of stuff to do it. Mm-hmm. And, we had picked a day to do it. And it felt like it wasn't my dedication and my like ability to like reserve the time and the products and stuff like that. I felt very what's the best way to
insulted?
And I would say insulted. I would say undervalued too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, he went out of his way and he bought all this stuff and he's already said he's going to do it, but he doesn't have to do it. Oh, you're not, you don't have to do it. Don't do it. And it made me feel very, I guess I don't want to say insignificant, but it
must have hurt your feelings.
It did hurt my feelings. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, dude, I did all this research. I found you a good monitor. Mm-hmm. We got everything going that you would need, and I took a lot of time to figure this out. And you're like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, because in my mind, because in the past I know that you've said like sometimes you agree to do something, mm-hmm. but you kind of just like, God, I really don't have the time to do it. I'm just going to do it just to get her off my back kind of thing, mm-hmm. And like I told you, like even yesterday, I'm like, I know you said that you would do it, mm-hmm. but you don't have to, because I didn't want, for one thing, I didn't want to have that energy of you feeling forced again to do something that you didn't want to mm-hmm. do. And it was just me trying to be like, hey, you know what? I love you dearly and you're more important than a morning show. Mm-hmm. And if it's going to take your time or affect your energy or your, like that, I was trying to make you feel valued.
Sure.
And it ended up being the exact mm-hmm. opposite.
Yeah. I would say it did. Yeah. Because I know the product and it's interesting too, when it comes to like vision and passion and things like that. I think you have a really good product ahead of you. Mm-hmm. And when we were talking on our walk, I saw the end result and I was very excited to help you on your journey. Yeah. And it, like I said, it did hurt my feelings that, I was like, oh, well, I can give you this ability to further. And, like you're talking about, like it takes, a month or a year or a day to progress to this, stage or whatever. And like, oh, I can help mom get that year's mm-hmm. worth of work done in a day. And you were like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. And I think that was a little dismissive and it did hurt my feelings.
Yeah. Because I know that yesterday you were very stressed out. Mm-hmm. And so now let me ask you this. Yeah. I mean, is there my delivery, was it in my delivery, or is it just that you're maybe a little sensitive to me dismissing you? Because I
would say both.
Okay.
I would say like 70 delivery, 30 dismissing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the next time, the whole thing is like, I know you're not comfortable with conflict, but if you could just be like, oh, that kind of hurt my feelings. And maybe at that point I could be like, wow, you know what, dude, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I was just trying to just let you know that you don't have to do it if it's not going to be okay with you. Because but I know you're not comfortable with that either.
I think it was an error on both ends. I think I felt a little like ambushed because I was trying to like cook my oatmeal, and I just felt like I felt overwhelmed, and it kind of threw me for something I wasn't expecting. And and like I had already been like, oh yeah, let's do it. And I would have thought that my actions up until this point would have led like, oh yeah, no, he's got it, and if he couldn't, he'll just tell me he could do it a different day. Yeah.
But the thing is that we have yet to, we have. I asked you to do that thing with YouTube, and you're like, I just don't have time. And so I did it myself, and it's no big deal. So it's me having to learn that you are starting to use your words, and if you don't want to do it, you're going to say you don't want to do it. If you say you're going to do it, then I just have to just have faith that you will speak up. Yeah. If you don't want to.
I would say so.
And I apologize, because really, truthfully, my intention was nothing more than to try to make you feel like your time and your space and your energy is valued. Yeah. Because what you're doing for me is truthfully something that I could never, it would take me, like you said, years.
Well, that's what I was saying this morning. Your intentions are always pure. You've always got the best intentions. It's just that you sometimes you stumble at the 2-yard line.
Yeah. And you have to understand too, Robert, and I really hope you do, but I'm facing hidden obstacles that I didn't even know I had. Yeah. So sometimes I think it's in those hidden obstacles that kind of trip me up in my delivery, but it is something that I'm very much openly trying to see, and I'm trying to unearth those landmines. Yeah. Of communication. Yeah. And I'm really hoping that as I work on myself, that, it helps you and Brandon to, maybe, I don't want it to be like every day we sit down and have therapy, but, maybe by my journey, you can be like, wow, that's really cool. Yeah, no, maybe I'll stop telling myself no, or, maybe I'll stop stopping myself, or.
I think this podcast is where is where I would apply that situation. It's nice to sit down and talk about, hey, this is what my fears are. This is where I have trouble. Then I would be like, oh yeah, I too have trouble. Or I too think like that. It's not so much like we're not like in a gunfight and you're like, follow me, man. Like,
yeah. And I just meant kind of too, it's like, if I can live a happier life, I just think that it's by leading by example.
I think it's more of you doing. It's interesting. I was talking to X about this, but like it's you doing what you're passionate about is where the inspiration would come.
Well, yeah, because you inspire me. Just by you doing your thing and how hard you work inspires me to work harder. Yes. So that's the kind of thing.
That's the inspiration that I think is where I would gain the most.
Yeah. And that's, and I don't want to ever do anything being like, oh, wow, they're going to be proud of me, or they're going to.
Robert's really going to talk to me this time.
Yeah. And it's, I think that kind of mentality is counterproductive. It is. So it's just basically, the more I can fix myself, the less of a burden I think I become. Yeah. And that kind of opens up the avenues for you and Brandon to kind of be like, oh, wow, yeah, you know what? I can live my own life.
Yeah. It's more of like, I acknowledge your hard work. Like, I'm like, oh, look at mom hustling, you know, that kind of stuff. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really, really liked your topic.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Have you thought about next week's topic?
I have not.
Okay. So it's going to be a surprise.
It'll be a surprise. Yeah. It'll probably most likely come to me like Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So this was, it was really important to me. It was definitely something that I needed to work my way through. So, it was a good one.
I liked the topic. It was really
good.
Thank
you. Yeah. I appreciate it very much.
Well, I look forward to this podcast will air 6 hours before the morning show, your first morning show. So I'm excited to see if anybody, you should put like a code word in the podcast.
Yeah,
to
like
see if anybody
banana.
So if anybody who's listening to the podcast type banana in the comments on your
Yeah,
morning
they'll
show.
know that they heard this before the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Or even if you don't hear it before the show, if you listen to the podcast and you like our topic today, just put a comment of banana.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Would
you want to tell them where to find us, Mom?
Yes, absolutely. You can find Robert as Robert Pike on Instagram, and he is Sherbert on TikTok and Twitch and YouTube. Yep. And then I am Gray Hair and Tattoos across the board, except for my little emotional baggage that is also on YouTube.
Cool.
All right, everybody. Have a great week. We love you dearly, and we will be back to you on next Monday. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.